Hello and welcome to another vlog by me, Alex Belfield, here at celebrityradio.biz. People ask me why I'm always banging on about the BBC, and it's because I worked for them for 15 years. Yes, full disclosure, I was on the books for over a decade working for them across the country. In fact, I did every BBC local radio station, national, and most things in between, including TV. And during that time, I realised that they are a dinosaur organisation, completely overstaffed, full of sanctimonious and supercilious journalists who have no clue how the real world live, nor the expectation of what they should be doing within their 8 hours of work. And the whole thing now is totally outdated and should be scrapped. Since I've left, I have further reason to hate them because I've been doing FOIs since 2011. I've been exposing the truth about the spending at the BBC, and it's totally indefensible in my view. They overpay people. They give free health insurance to hundreds of people. They pay people redundancy and then get them back to work for them. In some cases within months, certainly within years. It's a big boys club where you're promoted for failure. We could give names and we will. But the biggest problem for me is the fact that they are now a commercial entity pretending not to be and still asking for our £150 a year. The problem with the BBC is it's funded by the licence fee payer. 150 quid. But then they want us to spend another £5 a month on BritBox, a subscription service. So they are no better than Netflix or Sky, where you have to rent their programming. Well, surely if we're renting their programming, we don't have to pay a licence fee. Then there's a commercial arm of the BBC called BBC Studios. They rent studios to ITV. That's where Loose Women, Good Morning Britain, and This Morning all broadcast from today. That's their studios, the old BBC building. But it's not called the BBC anymore. That's clever and convenient. They sell programmes around the world. They have an international news service, as well as BBC America, another global service, BBC.com, which is an advertising service. So how can they justify being our BBC, paid for by the licence fee and owned by us, and then at the same time selling their souls around the world and taking money for advertising under the brand of the BBC? No, it doesn't work for me. No, it doesn't work for me. Today they announced they're going to sack 450 people, but they're really not going to sack 450 people. They're going to displace them. They're going to move them. They're going to give them other jobs, I almost guarantee. I'll be FOIing how many people currently work for the BBC, and I'll do it next year and the year after, and let's see how the figures change. The problem with the BBC employing over 18,000 people is that it's such a mammoth place. People die, people fall off the edge of cliffs, people get sacked occasionally, often the wrong people, of course. So therefore, they're just going to displace these 450 people and make it look like they're cutting back when in fact they're not. They've done it time and time again. When I was there, this was the old thing, to keep the staff in fear as much as the public. They love to do this all the time. Make out that we've got no money. Well, maybe you haven't got as much money as you had. £300 million worth of lost revenue last year of people who refused to pay their licence fee. When are you going to listen to the public and realise they don't want the BBC anymore and they don't want to pay for it? Those who do should pay for it, of course. So there you go, a little insight into your BBC and why I think it's doomed, why I think it's a double standard that needs to be stopped. If they want to be commercial, they should be commercial. Or they should get rid of their commercial arms, stop selling advertising, stop selling programmes around the world, and return to Britain to be the British Broadcasting Corporation, paid for by us, and owned by us. And then they can sack about 9,000 people that they don't need. I guarantee you wouldn't see one difference on TV or hear a second's difference on radio. I remember the strike in 2010. They were all out the building, God bless them. Unfortunately, the punters didn't know any different. We couldn't tell. That was a home goal. I noticed they haven't done one since. No, BBC, you've lost the plot. Unfortunately, you're outdated and we don't want to pay for you anymore. Here's proof why we shouldn't pay for the BBC and how they waste your money. Hello and welcome to another exclusive expose by me, Alex Belfield, here at celebrityradio.biz, where we've just achieved 52 million minutes viewed on YouTube. We're the #1 interviewer and reviewer on YouTube in the UK. For 8 years, we've been exposing shameless waste of public money by the BBC. All of our figures are official and released by BBC FOI. You can email them, foi@bbc.co.uk. They waste money, like 2,709 people got a pay rise of over 10%. 17,037 BBC staff were given £400 each as a pay reward. I mean, these are the kind of sums that blow your mind. £300 million is lost in unpaid licence fees.
surely they're doomed at this point. The BBC wastes 78,000 licence fees just collecting the licence fee. At what point is this going to stop? 483 people had an up to 100% pay rise. That's 6.4 million, 13 of which were BBC managers. This is bullshit. They don't even know what they're doing with their money. They overpaid 313 staff, nearly £500,000. BBC spent £5 million paying the tax bills of people they fucked over with IR35. Your BBC spent £700,000 on gifts and presents for entitled BBC employees. They take them to dinner. 1,500, 88, 500, 400. Oh, they'll pay any amount for dinner. Some entitled BBC person claimed 2p in official expenses. 2p. There's 35 free cafes at BBC Broadcasting House. That's 191,000 it cost us last year to give them free tea and coffee. £8,000 was the most expensive flight to Miami. I can't even find an £8,000 flight. £8,727. 7,000 to San Francisco. What are they thinking? These figures that I show you here, I can't even find on any travel websites. Lunacy. 22% men, 32% female, and less than 30,000 yet. The kind of hypocrisy is ridiculous. They talk about equality, yet nearly 90% of BBC receptionists are women. Can you believe the BBC built 11 new canteens this year? That cost us 1.4 million. They're in the city centre of most places. They seemingly have consultants for everything. Over £1 million putting the cunt in consultant. Ridiculous. We're paying for this stuff. 131 train tickets purchased at more than £300. Again, how do they do this? I go £70 first class, only 2 of which were first class. The BBC books hundreds of hotels and taxis that they don't use and pays for them. Meanwhile, over 1,000 staff were given £20,000 worth of awards, vouchers in other words. It's just ridiculous. 2,600 for them to get pissed. Good Lord. The BBC hired 43 staff and spent 2.3 million on health and safety. Good God. £4 million on consultants, despite hundreds of managers. What a car crash. Talking of which, they crashed £370,000 worth of repairs in cars last year. Mystery thefts, this is curious. 204,000. Cash going missing of $8,000. Laptops and computers and foodstuffs and equipment. 50,000 each for 3 cameras. We will never stop watching the BBC. We were the people who broke the story of the tax gaffe. Yes, the IR35 tax shame that has cost them millions. They've now had to make over 100 presenters staff. It's ludicrous. 21 million in bonuses, 100 BBC fat cats who get paid more than the PM. These are all our stories that we get in the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday, the Sun, the People, the Sunday Mirror. £1 million in wasted wages. BBC blows 25 grand on a backslapping bash. This was the BBC Gillards Awards. These are still going on, and now they refuse to tell us how much that costs. We're watching, and we're not going to stop watching. We will continue to expose the corruption that goes on with public money. We can't stand for it. The BBC still work the way they worked back in the 70s and 80s. They're supercilious, they're outrageous, and they're shocking. And this is our money, and we shouldn't stand for it. This was one of my worst stories. 700 people took redundancy. 700 staff. Think about that. They took redundancy, our money, our payoff, and then came back to the corporation. And they oversaw this scandal. It is disgusting, it's despicable, and this is your BBC still wasting your cash. You've been listening to another exclusive BBC expose by me, Alex Belfield, here at celebrityradio.biz, where last year we had over 12 million minutes viewed on YouTube. You can check out all of our hundreds of interviews and reviews at www.celebrityradio.biz.